So, doctor, to begin with, let's discuss how serious is this problem.
So, honestly speaking, if 3 decades ago, talking with a senior gentleman like you, if we talk about the era of 1980s and 90s, that was a point of time where tuberculosis was said to be a very, very serious and life-threatening problem.
Yes.
It was an era of sanatoriums and the fear factor associated with the disease. Now in 2022, anyone hardly talks about tuberculosis. Though it is still common in a country, it's an epidemic. However, we know that tuberculosis can be easily treated and there are medicines available for them. We hardly see anyone who is succumbing to the disease because of tuberculosis.
Yes.
I think cancer also is in that era where the misconceptions about the disease and the ignorance about the disease is making it as a fear factor. As you mentioned, cancer is a terrifying word. I would like to put it, cancer is only a word. It is not a death sentence. So it is all about understanding the disease.
Yeah.
Well, we do know that currently, where on a global scenario where we are looking at, the incidence of cancer is increasing, and in the years to come, it is going to increase still more and more.
What could be the main reasons for it?
I think, sir, the most important reason is aging.
Oh.
Now, people are living longer because the infectious diseases have gone down.
Okay.
Mortality because of infectious diseases has gone down. So the lives, what we call about the
life expectancy is
life expectancy has increased, and along with them, the other factors like environmental hazards are changing in the dietary lifestyle. Diets have changed, lifestyles have changed, obesity has now become a major concern. So all these factors plus tobacco-related consumptions, all these are responsible.
But one has seen few cases of cancer, people with none of these habits, hardly any tobacco, hardly any liquor consumption, and normal lifestyle. Yet people, do catch this disease.
Very true, sir. Very true. In fact, many times when we do come across these patients, they feel bad that we have lived a very, very healthy lifestyle. Yet, why are we diagnosed with this particular disease?
Yes.
I always put it up in a way that tobacco or poor lifestyle are the causative factors. They usually attribute to the causation. They are not the only factor.
One of the factors.
So there are other factors like hereditary is there, or what we call as sporadic gene mutations are there.
Okay.
So they could also be responsible for causing cancers in those gentlemen or ladies who do not have any of these tobacco or alcohol related vices.
Talking of immunity, the COVID, another dreaded word. COVID also is contributing to the killing of the immunity of the people. So do you think that COVID patients can be prone to cancer?
Say, in fact, COVID per se is not going to cause cancer.
Yeah.
In fact, as a cancer center at HCG Manavata Cancer Center, during the second pandemic period, whatever was our experience with management of COVID, we published 2 papers and they were highly acclaimed in international journals.
Okay.
One of those papers was about the benefit of having COVID, or what was the benefits for the oncology community as far as COVID was concerned. What happened? Because of the fear of COVID, a large number of individuals, we can't call them patients, they underwent HRCT scans.
Okay.
And these HRCT scans actually picked up lung cancers very, very early, which were small lesions where the patients did not have any symptoms about it.
Okay.
So in fact, we started diagnosing lung cancers at a much earlier stage because of the HRCTs which were done for COVID. That was one part of it. That was like, you can call it as a silver lining as far as that. But the other part, which was again a disturbing paper which we published, that was what are going to be the after effects of COVID. So these HRCT, which have been done randomly for a large population in our country and world over. So we speculated that normal exposure of radiation, of background radiation which an individual goes through, as compared to that, the HRCT related exposure was almost 50 to 75 times more.
Okay.
Because of that, these individuals who have undergone multiple HRCTs, after 10 or 15 years, they could be more prone for development of lung cancer, breast cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma, and skin cancers along with blood cancers. So actually, they really need to be taken care, and a surveillance has to be done.
That means the scanning is hazardous.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. No, but with COVID, the person's immunity has gone down, and very frequently people for the long COVID effects, particularly breathlessness and the breathing problems, etc. They are on the rise.
So at this point of time, I would not be right enough to comment. The reason being whether these ILD or interstitial lung diseases like changes which occur in post-COVID lungs, whether they could make a patient more prone for development of cancer, we will come to know only after 10 or 15 years.
Okay.
Because cancer has a long preclinical phase. All these changes which are going to happen, they don't happen immediately. But we really need, as the oncology community, we need to have additional surveillance, and actually there's something new for all of us to learn and keep a track on.
In fact, that brings to me this point that in many cases, it is detected in stage 1 kind of a situation where it is controllable and curable. But in quite a few cases, people detect cancer, diagnosed with cancer almost in the stage 4 towards the terminal stage.
So, in fact, as an oncologist, I have treated almost 100,000 patients in Nashik over the last 21 years. And daily we see about, as a team, we see around 450 to 500 patients.
Oh my God.
Out of these, around 25 to 26 are new patients daily.
Okay.
And we hardly see one patient who comes in stage 1.
Oh.
Majority of the patients whom we see in our clinical practice are either stage 2, stage 3 or stage 4.
And this is an area like Nashik you're talking about, where it is not as much polluted, as much urbanized as Mumbai, Delhi or other major cities.
So Nashik think about the rural population, sir.
Yeah. Though Nashik is supposed to be one of the most livable cities with all the peace and serenity and calm and good weather all around, what could be the reason for this kind of a disturbing trend of lots of cases coming? Is it tobacco?
So one of the reasons is tobacco, and I think the second major reason is also increase in the use of pesticides by the agricultural community. So in fact, Nashik and North Maharashtra, it was an agriculture-prone population.
Yes.
Now the number of, the amount of pesticides which are being used by farmer friends, and obviously for reasons to try and ensure that their crop does not go waste and have the maximum potential yield. But unfortunately, that is taking toll on our health also.
On the farmers, not the consumers, but the farmers.
I think majority of them are using more, and ultimately they are also suffering, and the consumer is also suffering.
Okay. No, but consumer normally, whatever agriculture produce you buy, whether it is grapes or strawberries or whatever you buy, normally people wash and eat.
So, but even if you wash and eat, there is a sea change between organic farming and inorganic farming or the pesticide product.
Okay.
So you could just wash or clean it, and you would take care of the superficial toxins which are there. Yeah. What about the inbuilt harm which those pesticides?
Toxicity, toxicity.
In fact, there was another disturbing study was about the increase in the levels of arsenic and lead in the groundwater.
Oh.
See, because arsenic and lead, the more pesticides which we use, that is actually increasing the levels of arsenic and lead in the groundwater. And I think there was a couple of years ago, there was a question raised in the Parliament of India as to whether milk which is available in the market is fit for human consumption.
Yes.
And the Honorable Health Minister had to reply that 67% of the milk which is available in the country is not fit for human consumption.
That's very sad.
That's very sad. It's a sad state of affairs.
But the question is, what are we doing about it?
So probably more awareness needs to come in.
Yeah.
It's like, we are in that rat race that each one of us wants to try and make his ends meet today, not bothering about the future. But unless we prepare ourselves for tomorrow, we are not going to be taking necessary steps today.
Talking of awareness, now we are in an era where starting from the Prime Minister down to everybody, all the ministers, they talk of doubling the quadrupling, increasing the farmers' income. So in that rat race, as you mentioned, rat race is not limited to only urban management people, but is also among these farmers, because everybody wants to be rich overnight. And why not? If my neighbor is rich, why should I be lagging behind? So in that kind of a race, I think a lot of push is being given for increasing the agriculture output by artificial ways.
Right.
I think that's a dangerous trend.
Absolutely.
Okay. What about the treatment part of it? Is it now easily accessible? Because one normal impression is that cancer treatment is very expensive.
So fortunately now, particularly in the last couple of years, in a state like Maharashtra, we have the Mahatma Jyotiba Phule Arogyodaya Yojana, or on a pan-India front, we have the Ayushman Bharat scheme, which is there, which has been launched. So cancer care is definitely accessible to the last member of our country.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe you may not get the best world-class available targeted therapy or robotic therapy or high-end radiation therapy. However, whatever minimum basic treatment is there, every citizen has a right and has an access to that treatment is, I think, the best part of what we are seeing in the last 4 to 5 years.
In the current lifestyle, drastic changes in the lifestyles of the people, what kind of advice do you give briefly to the viewers to check to prevent cancer in our bodies?
So most important, I think one should take care of your tongue. That is, be a little more cautious about what you eat.
Okay.
And stay away from junk food. Most important, stay away from tobacco and alcohol. And third most part is going to be do regular exercises.
Okay.
A healthy lifestyle is definitely going to help you protect yourself from your family. Because I always say cancer is a disease which happens to one individual, but the entire family suffers.
Yes. To get the disease diagnosed early, what are the indications? What are the symptoms that one has to look out for? These, of course, oft repeated, but I think it's much better to keep repeating this so that the normal consumer, normal listener, viewer would be educated on this aspect.
So I think one needs to understand most important is that you or me, we are at risk of development of cancer. Once we are aware about this, I think half the battle is won over there.
Okay.
See, majority of our patients who are diagnosed in late stages, one is they are so ignorant or they are so overconfident that मुझे तो कुछ होना ही नहीं है.
Same like COVID.
Yeah, same like COVID. So probably if you have an awareness, see, if you go by the ICMR statistics, the incidence of cancer, for example, breast cancer, it is 1 in 15 urban ladies and 1 in 36 rural ladies.
Okay.
Cervical cancer is following a similar trend. So if you are aware that you could be having cancer, you would definitely not ignore the warning symptoms.
The breast cancer cases are seen among men also.
Men also. That's true, sir. Second part, which I feel that what is important is that one has to understand that cancer is not a disease or it is not a bacteria or a virus which enters into your body from outside. They are changes which happen in your own cell DNA.
Okay.
So in the normal cancer cells, it takes years to develop. And during that period, when the tumor is growing inside the body, the patient does not have any symptoms because it is a painless lesion. It does not cause pain. It does not cause fever. It does not cause flu-like symptoms. So you tend to ignore it.
Yeah.
When the symptoms do come, symptoms happen when the organ from where the tumor has started, there is some dysfunction in that.
Okay.
So the most common 7 warning signals, as we call about cancer.
Yeah.
One is any lump in the body, even if it is painless, should not be disregarded or should not be ignored. If there is any ulceration on your body, which particularly in the oral cavity, which stays for more than 15 days, it should not be ignored. If there is change in the voice, it should not be ignored. If there is a difficulty in swallowing, it should not be ignored. If there is persistent cough for more than 15 days, please do not ignore that. Any changes in the urinary habits or bowel habits, it could be constipation or diarrhea or bleeding, anything. Please do not ignore it. Don't self-diagnose it as piles or hemorrhoids or fissure. Seek a medical opinion. In case of women, any discharge, per vaginal discharge, other than normal menstrual flow at any age group should not be neglected. And apart from this, there could be unexplained weight loss, weakness, jaundice. In case of children, easy bruising, a small fall, and if there is some blackish discoloration, that could be earliest sign of blood cancer. Or if there is any pain at any bony sites, that is again a cause of bone cancers. So these are the warning signals, as we call it, and they should not be neglected or ignored.
So great, nice talking to you, Dr. Nagarkar. So if there are any issues, we will keep getting back to you. Thanks a lot. Very nice talking to you. Namaskar and stay safe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.